Let's get right into this and set the scene, okay? So basically, I went for an interview the other day at like a donut and coffee shop. It was actually my first job. Well, anyways, I interviewed and they said they were basically going to hire me because I'd already worked there before. You know, I have experience, but they wanted to send me to a different store that I had applied to. Well, it turns out the store that they want to send me to is the store that I worked at for my very first job back when I was in high school, when I was like 15. So here we are, 25 years old, and I'm going to work at my first job again. It's very bittersweet, you know. It's sweet because I got a job and a little nostalgia and stuff, right? But at the same time, it's like, damn, where am I going with my life that I'm going to work at the same place that I worked when I was like 15, right? But anyways, we're just setting the tone for this little story. So basically, back when I did work my first job, I worked with my brother. It was a good time. We both got hired around the same time, and he had a car, so we drove to work every day. We worked basically the same shifts. We were both in high school, so it was a good old time. And the good part about this job was you get tips, right? So basically people leave like nickels and dimes, but by the end of an 8-hour shift, you split all that up and you got like, 10 to 15 bucks, maybe 15 to 20 on a really good day, right? 15 to 20 bucks, every day you go to work. That's pretty good, It's lunch money or just snacks and stuff. I unfortunately was a smoker back then, so I pretty much just bought a pack of smokes every time I got my tips, but that's terrible. I don't smoke anymore. I'm 2 years clean, thank God. But anyways, yeah, it was a decent job. I worked with good people. There was a couple other people in my class at school that actually worked there too, and it was close enough to my school that by the time I got off, I could just walk over to the restaurant and start my shift. So I'd get off school around like 3:30, and I'd start my shift at 4, and it only took me like 10 to 15 minutes to get there. So it was pretty convenient as well. Well, anyways, on one faithful day, it was Christmas Eve to be precise. Actually, the power went out in a lot of different places. It was a big outage. Well, I happened to be working this day. My brother as well, and we were mid shift. I think we were about 3 hours into our shift, and then the power went out. And at a coffee shop, the power goes out. You can't brew the coffees, anything anymore. You have to shut down. There are like generators though, so like the fridges and stuff were still fine. So what we had to do was everybody had to start moving everything back to the fridges and stuff. So basically, we all started doing that. Just grabbing things, bringing them back. That took about like 20 to 30 minutes. Everybody was working together. It went pretty quickly. The only thing is at a shop like that, you make donuts and muffins and cookies and stuff like that that only have a certain amount of shelf time, right? You're not going to keep them for the next day or anything like that. So, and we couldn't keep the store open due to the power being out, not being able to sell coffee and all of that. So all of these donuts and muffins and everything that were there, they're just going to go bad. So we're all sitting in the dining room because we can't leave right away, because if the power is to come back on, then we'll start the store back up. So we had to like sit in the dining area and wait an hour or two to see if the power was going to come back on, right? Well, after about a half an hour to an hour, they said, if you want any of the muffins or donuts or anything, just help yourself. So we're all just sitting in the dining room, munching on some muffins and donuts and baked goods, and we're all getting paid still, right? Because they have to keep us there just in case. Meanwhile, while we were sitting there, they came up and said they needed two people to go to one of the other stores because there was still one store that had power. There's in my town there was four different stores, and one of them had power, just one. So, and apparently it was really busy, right? Because it's the only one open. It's Christmas Eve. Everybody wants their coffees and their donuts and stuff. So they asked for two people, and me and my brother said, why not, right? It's Christmas Eve, and a little backstory on Christmas Eve, that's the time where you get the most tips. I'm saying, like, on a normal day, like I said, you get about 10 to 15. On a good day, you get about 15 to 20. But on Christmas Eve, man, people are shelling out like $10, $20 bills and stuff because they're just, Merry Christmas and the Christmas spirit. So you go home sometimes with like 40, 50, 60 bucks, which for there is really good. So me and my brother said, yeah, for sure, we'll go. Might as well. We're just sitting here doing nothing. Let's go make some money. Anyways, we drive on down, and Oh my god. When I say it was the biggest line I had ever seen at a restaurant, I am not exaggerating in the slightest. They were like outside of the building, lined up all the way to the parking lot. The drive-through was like wrapped around the people that were on the inside. That was wrapped all the way outside of the building. Me and my brother head in. They, give us a little rundown of where everything is in the store, obviously, right? And they put us on front cash together. Well, it turns out only one of the burners was working at the front cash that we were on, so we could only brew one pot of coffee at a time, and the line was it went on forever. There was no end to the line, and we're only able to brew one pot of coffee at a time. So we had to like keep running to drive through and back to like get coffee from them because like you're running out so quick if you can only brew one. So it takes about 5 minutes to brew a pot of coffee, and it's just impossible, dude. Like you brew one and then you put another one on immediately, but like before that one's done, like within the 5 minutes, you've already used up the other pot because it's just so busy, dude. We worked for like 3 hours at the other one, like I had said previously, and then we did an 8-hour shift at that store. So we worked 11 hours that day, and it's time and a half because it's Christmas Eve. So we made a shitload of money that way, right? And then we got, I think we got about 50 or $60 in tips as well. So for us, like a couple of high school students, we were pumped. We made some freaking money that day, though. So it was totally worth it. It was a bit of a hassle, a bit stressful. It was very busy, but it was good people. Everybody's in a good mood. It was Christmas Eve. At least they're getting their coffee and donuts, right? But yeah, that's not the first store I've been sent to either. Like I said, there's 4 locations out in that town, and I'd been to each one at different points in time. Like, because I was a good worker. They'd say, like, who wants to go to the store? Brian, you want to go? Like, they would, look at me first because I was always down to go. Like, one day I was scheduled for 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. at my store. And about 1 o'clock, they were asking if somebody wanted to go to another store to work 2 to 10. And I said, you know what? Screw it. I'll go. So they let me off at 1 o'clock. So I worked 7 a.m. to 1 o'clock. And then I longboarded all the way down to the other store. And let me tell you, it's a long longboard ride. Like, I got off at 1 o'clock, and I think I just made it for 2. I think I had like 5 or 10 minutes left before 2 o'clock. And then I worked at 2 to 10 at that store. I made a lot of tips that day, let me tell you, and a double shift, right? So we made some money. I was like, in high school, I was hungry, dude. I was, give me all the hours. I will make the money. But yeah, after all of this, I had been working there for about a year. And one day in my shift, and I'll give you a little backstory. I had never called in sick to this job. Never called in sick. I'd only ever been late once in a whole year, and I called in and said, I'm gonna be 5 minutes late. I'm so sorry, because it was like an ice storm or something. It was crazy, but I still made it in. I was only 5 minutes late, and I called them first. Um, Yet one day in my shift, I was working, and normally there you get your first break within like 2 hours, right? I'd been working for like 4.5 hours, and they're finally giving my break. And when I go on my break, they pull me into the office and they fire me. They didn't even give me a reason. They just said, we're going to have to let you go. Like, you're not a good fit, or something like that. Like, they gave me like the most generic firing line ever. Like, they didn't give me any sort of reason or anything like that. Um, and I had some of the best times when I was on drive through. I'm a very agreeable person too. Like, I don't really talk too much. Like, I mean, obviously, I have my customer service voice when I'm at work and stuff. I'm not, but I'm not. I don't really like cuss people out or get in arguments or anything like that. Like, I like to think I'm a pretty nice guy, and I was always on time, but they never gave me a reason. They just kind of fired me like right as my break started, when they gave me my break like 2 hours late. And also another thing is, if I was such a bad worker or wasn't a good fit, why was I always being sent to the other stores? Because you were like, oh, he's a good worker, we'll send him over to you because he'll help you out. So it was just like a lot of mixed signals. I don't understand what happened. And also, it took them about a year to actually get me my record of employment. And even on that, it didn't have a reason for dismissal. Like, they never actually gave me a solid reason on why they fired me. So, I don't know. That always just threw me off. I was just, and it was my first job too, right? So it was like, I always thought, I was trying my best. I was a happy guy. I always came in with a smile. I worked my hardest. So it just threw me off that they just kind of fired me out of the blue and didn't give me a reason, right? But anyways, now here we are. We're going back to the same job at 25. Once again, it's a bit bittersweet, but hopefully it goes a little better this time, right? Actually, there was one tragedy that makes me a little more nervous to go back is that our baker, he was a really good guy. His name was Jaron. I talked to him all the time. Like, they actually, to be fair, that would be the only thing that you could say about me working there is I was out back talking to the baker here and there, but when there wasn't customers. Because he was just a good guy. He was chill to talk to, right? But unfortunately, one night he was working there. This was like a few months after I'd been let go, but we lived close by to the restaurant. This was after I graduated high school. Me and my brother lived in an apartment very close to the restaurant. We came and visit on the night shifts because the baker that we knew there, Jaron, he worked the night shifts, and we come in and talk to him here and there, and he was really chill, good buddy. But apparently one night he took his life in the back. Like they found his body out by the garbages. He took his life while he was working, and so that was really rough. He was a good buddy. Um, I found it out, and I couldn't go to work for a few days, dude. I was pretty distraught. So I'm a little nervous going back there, just because of the memories and stuff. It's been like almost 10 years, but yeah, it was a rough one. That was the first person that I like knew really well that passed away. So that's just how life goes. And again, he was one of the happiest people you'll ever meet. But you just never know what somebody else is going through, right? But yeah, anyways, I don't really have much more to say on that. I thought I would just take a little trip down memory lane and tell you about my first job because it's just it's very weird how I'm going back to my first job at 25. Let me know if anybody else has had a similar experience. You worked a job and then years and years later you came back to it. How did you feel? Was it awkward? Like were you nervous? I'm a little nervous myself, going back. But I think mostly it's like all different people since I've worked there because it's been like 10 years, right? So shouldn't be too bad. Anyways, I think that's about it for today. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.